Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cranfield University.
Welcome.
欢迎你
Welcome. Karibu Cranfield.
Welcome.
Namaste.
Welcome to Cranfield School of Management.
Welcome to Cranfield School of Management. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. We've got a fabulous agenda. Today is the big event. It's Meet the Dean, your chance to grill the Dean on your questions about Cranfield, life here and the student experience. We're going to be taking you through a little bit of an intro to Cranfield. David Oglethorpe, our Dean, will be answering your questions. We'll also be looking at the differences between some of our courses, the student experience, and we have got your questions already submitted, but there is an opportunity to ask questions throughout, so please do get involved. Everyone is on mute at the moment because hundreds and hundreds of people have registered here today. Please do start building your Cranfield network early. If your username says user123, change it to your name. Let us know who you are, and our team who are on the chat today will be able to engage with you personally. You'll be able to see other people, other potential learners at Cranfield today. So get started, get building that community early. Everyone will continue to be on mute, but we will be monitoring chat throughout. I have a laptop in front of me now. I can see questions that are coming through, and we do already have your pre-submitted questions, so get involved. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce the main man for today's event, Professor Dean David Oglethorpe, who is the Dean of the School of Management and also Pro-Vice Chancellor at Cranfield University. Thank you so much for making the time to join us today. You're going to be taking us through your view of Cranfield, what makes it special, and what people who are looking at Cranfield education might be able to get.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, yes, if I can talk through some of the real highlights of this fabulous institution to everyone who joins us today. I'm David Oglethorpe. I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Dean of Cranfield School of Management. And welcome, good afternoon, good evening, or even good morning, as Lauren says. You will have no doubt done research about Cranfield that's brought you here today, and your interest in our university, and particularly in our School of Management. Cranfield has a fantastic history, but it's a very focused university. It's unlike any other university that you will experience, particularly in the UK. First of all, we have a critical focus on technology and management, and that's our heritage, where we've grown up as a school and a university that's critically focused on technology subjects, so aerospace, manufacturing, transport, environment, energy, but then management and leadership and management is a key theme that addresses all of those technology subjects. So technology and management is our focus, which is a dedication to the sorts of things that you're interested in. As part of that development, we were one of the first schools in the UK to offer an MBA and one of the first schools to offer many of our specialist MSCs as well, which you're obviously interested in today. One thing that is really different about Cranfield as well is that we have no undergraduates. We are postgraduate and post-experience university only. And I know the difference between that and those large universities with large cohorts of undergraduates, where the learning experience can get diluted because of that large number of undergraduates. So we are dedicated to postgraduate study. We are dedicated to you, and we bring all of our experience in post-experience and postgraduate learning, where we've taken people right the way through their careers, through lots of the different types of courses that we provide. So we provide our core offering, which is the full-time MSc and MBA courses, but then we provide a large number of post-experience courses, perhaps on a part-time basis, and then we deliver what we call executive education, which is short course anything from a 1-day to a week-long residential course. And when you join us as MBA or MSc students, you eventually will become alumni, and you can access all of these other lifelong learning opportunities as you go through your career. So joining Cranfield isn't just about the postgraduate experience that you will engage in immediately as students, but it's that commitment to you throughout your life and your ability to continually return to learning with Cranfield as you go forward. What about the school itself? What about what does it mean to be at Cranfield School of Management? Well, our mission is very simple. It's to transform the practice of management, and we do that through transformational research. So we believe that we're pushing the boundaries of management and leadership, understanding and knowledge within organisations, and we do that also through our cutting-edge research. And one thing all of our alumni talk to us about when they've been here and they've experienced the teaching around transformational management and been exposed to the transformational research, they say it's transformed their lives. And that is something I can promise you that if you come to Cranfield and engage in our courses and therefore and have that ability to engage with us through your lifetime, it does transform your lives. You'll hear a bit more about that later, particularly in relation to our MBA. One of the things that also makes us really special is the way that all our faculty engage with industry and with practice. So unlike many other universities, most of our faculty have some kind of practice experience. So they've worked before in organisations or in industry, or they engage with industry through their research and through their consulting activities as well. So all of the things you hear about in the classroom are taken immediately from the cutting edge of industry and are incredibly relevant. And because of all of our links to industry and external organisations, an awful lot of that is brought into the classroom. So through guest lecturing, through associates who are working in business or in organisations, that you get that sense of experience and practice within the classroom as well, which again is very different to many other universities. The campus as well, obviously we're coming to you online today, but the practical experience of our campus is really unique as well. We often refer to it as a sort of a hothouse of learning. It's a really engaged community of students who live on the campus or around the campus, and you're able to dedicate yourself to the student experience and to your studying in this really strong culture of learning, and a campus where it's only MSc students, it's only postgraduate students, and MBA students. Again, you're not sharing a campus with thousands of undergraduates. So that's really important, and it really helps your learning experience. We're also very internationally linked. So all of we obviously have a very international student body, but we engage with other universities around the world, and we engage with companies, global organisations that enrich the quality of our teaching. And there's some questions on that later, and and my colleagues will be talking about that as well. We talk about being not just about business, but for business, and that's linked to many of our partnerships. So within our programs, we have relationships, very strong strategic relationships with organisations such as Grant Thornton, many of the banks, lots of industrial organisations, and we almost have this practice community as well. As well as there being a strong student community, there's a strong practice community. All of these things that makes Cranfield such a special place come together in how we're recognised globally in our accreditations. So we hold what's called the Triple Crown of Business School Accreditation, where we're accredited by the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business, AACSB, a global institution. We're accredited by EQUIS, which is the European Quality Improvement System for the European Foundation for Management Development, and we're accredited by AMBA, the Association of MBAs. So we've talked about being triple accredited, but we actually have recently also been accredited with one of the highest ratings that's ever been achieved by what's called the Small Business Charter, which is a UK accreditation, but it recognises the extent to which we're engaged with business. And in some respects, our engagement is at a corporate level, but we're engaged with a huge number of small and medium-sized businesses as well, which make up a much larger proportion of an economy. So understanding the entrepreneurship spirit within those SMEs, and entrepreneurship being something that really cross-cuts all of our programs, we're real specialists in understanding the issues that businesses face, such as SMEs, like entrepreneurship, seeking finance, sustainability challenges, and all sorts. And I would say that notion of sustainability, and we'll come back to that later, cuts through right across our programs. My personal professorship is in environmental sustainability. So my interest is, as an environmental economist, understanding management systems that improve and deliver sustainable goals. And that is very important to me as Dean of the school, that we get that emerging through our programs. And it's an incredibly important thing for you as students to have that as a central theme. The last thing I'm going to say right now, before we go back to sort of a more conversation, is I've mentioned it a couple of times, is about the alumni network that you join. So within our rankings, one of the things that my colleague Leila Alinaghian will talk about later in terms of the MBA is our rankings within the Financial Times rankings, which is fantastic, and I won't steal Leila's thunder there. But one of the rankings that we have is that for the last 3 years we've been ranked #1 in the world by The Economist for the breadth and potential of our alumni network. Once you've been at Cranfield, I think officially once you've been here for a month, you become part of that alumni network. And it is astounding. Being ranked #1 in the world for the breadth and potential gives you some idea of the scale of that network and the value of that network. For no other reason to come to Cranfield, you should come here to be part of that network. It's so valuable to your future career, to your ability to leverage what you've learned at Cranfield with what others have learned, and to be part of this lifelong society. And we have some real notable alumni. I'm sure you can see them on our website. Today, for example, we're coming to you from the Grenville Turner broadcast studio. Grenville Turner was one of our alumni on the full-time MBA and provided us with a donation to create this studio. And this is state of the art. You don't see this anywhere else. So that's where I will end up at the moment, is just saying, for any other reason, become part of that alumni network. It is fantastic. I've seen it nowhere else. I get to accredit business schools around the world as part of those triple accreditations. And I've not seen anything like this before. Cranfield is unique. It's a very special place. And I really hope to see you when you come. But Lauren, we'll talk more about that later.
We shall. I think I might even start a little bit with it now, because I think it's such an important point and it's worth reiterating now and later on. It's what that actually means to students. And I spoke with one of our students who did the MBA last year, said he came to Cranfield based on the MBA alumni network alone. He said what it meant to him was there are potentially sort of 70,000 doors he could open. He could reach out, and on any topic, on any industry, in any country, he could say, here's someone who's been from the alumni network, and it's a way in. Cranfield alumni love to talk about Cranfield.
Yeah, they do. And I think in the time that, in the last few years, and particularly during the pandemic, our role was very much to be supporting that alumni network. But we've realised that there are 3 ways in which we can engage with alumni. And one is what we can continue to do for those alumni who, once you finish your studies, how we can provide additional services, how we can stay engaged, how we can provide discounts for future learning, for people to come back to us. Then there's what the alumni can do for us, and we get a huge amount of support from alumni who want to come back and share their experiences once they've gone into practice with current students. But the biggest thing is exactly as you said there, Lauren. It's what alumni can do for alumni. And that network is unbelievably powerful. You know, you find yourself, after being a student at Cranfield 5-10 years out, needing some advice about a particular new business area that someone else in the network can help you with, who's been through it before. And, you know, talking about opening doors, it is a fantastic network and opportunity.
It is exciting. And for anyone who's had a look through our website, you may spot that we had a lot of conversations, questions come through about scholarships. And actually, that's the reason some of our scholarships have got very strange names. It's because our alumni are so enthusiastic. They fund a lot of scholarships themselves. And it does mean, also like to name it after themselves occasionally. And it does mean that you'll see some that don't immediately make sense, but they're actually funded by real students who are just so passionate about their experience here that they want to pay it forward and bring it to other people. So we'll get on to the alumni a bit later. What I wanted to ask you about is the accreditations, because obviously that's a big part of your role as Dean, a big part of your natural passion for what you do here. Any particularly sharp-eyed readers on our website will sometimes have seen quadruple accreditation, and we have a bit of fun with that. The Triple Crown versus the Small Business Charter. Could you explain a little bit of the difference between maybe how that differentiates Cranfield from other schools?
Yeah, yes, it's I talked about the triple accreditation. The Small Business Charter is relatively new, and it's new to us as well. But it does offer this fourth string to our bow, basically. We do now talk about being quadruple accredited. It is a UK accreditation, but it's globally relevant, I think, in terms of how we work. And you know, some of the SMEs that we work with, the small and medium-sized enterprises we work with, are global brands. So they may have emerged in the UK and through some of our programs, but they have become global brands. So Hotel Chocolat, people will have heard of, Cobra Beer. I think, you know, so yes, I mean, it is definitely, we do now talk about this quadruple accreditation. I have to remember myself saying that. But we're also affiliated as well to the United Nations Principles for Responsible Management Education. So I don't know what we're 5 times accredited if you take them as well, but that's really important. So that's around the extent to which our teaching and our research and how that research feeds into teaching is about sustainability and responsible action across the globe. So actually the United Nations Principles for Responsible Management Education is a 5th area of accreditation. What's the collective now?
Yes, yeah.
but yes, I mean, the Small Business Charter is a fantastic outcome for us. It's really useful to students as well as being affiliated with that.
I think we'll have to start working on like a Cranfield of accreditations or something
right.
like that. Sustainability. There's been some recent Financial Times rankings which brought in actually sustainability for the first time as part of their rankings. And I think we were number 1 in the world number 1 in the UK for carbon footprint and 17th worldwide. That actually is an MBA ranking, but actually applied to Cranfield as an institution.
That's right. So there were 2 new elements to the ranking this year. One was around the extent to which we incorporate sustainability as a topic within our programs, and we were number 1 in the UK for that, and I think 17th in the world or something.
17th in the world for carbon footprint.
17th in the world. So that's for that's for the dedication that the university has to reducing its carbon footprint. So we're, in terms of our the extent to which we're pursuing sustainable development goals, that's what that's for. So number 1 in the UK, 17th in the world. I mean, there are tens of thousands of business schools in the world, and we're 17th on that and number 1 in the UK.
And I think we were 36th in the world as well for the ESG content, which is that sustainability teaching actually in the programme.
Yeah, so environment, sustainability and governance, that was the one that's, that was recognised in the full-time MBA, but it also is reflected across the rest of our curriculum. That's what I was meaning before, that actually our research, like the kind of research I do personally, pervades our content. And that's what we got that for.
And you might correct me if you think I'm wrong, but one of the nice phrases I heard is that Cranfield very deliberately isn't a school of just a business school. It's a school of management because it recognises the responsible leadership. It recognises the people that are central to running business, and that's part of that transformation of management. Is it's all about people?
It is, and I think this is something that Melvyn might talk about later. Is the individual and the individual as a part of a team is really central to our philosophy of teaching. We are a management school because we're interested in management of organisations. We're not just organisers interested in business and business metrics and so on. We're interested in how the people within those organisations run those organisations, how they're organised, how supply chains between organisations are organised, and so on. So it's about the person and how that person operates in the team. And I heard this actually from an alumni, not an alumni, a student who's just joined us. And the reason he joined us was, and he said, it's absolutely true that we put the individual at the heart of our study. And we can do that because the size that we are. We're able to, that's what I mean about being dedicated to the postgraduate experience. We put the individual at the centre of the learning. And the fact that we use learning teams, so everyone is also part of a team. And so they get to try out their ideas with others in a really intensive but collegiate atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that's one of the questions that came through, is about how people can make the most of their studies. And we were talking just beforehand, it's about being curious, it's about trying things out. It is a really rare opportunity to have a year or maybe 2 years to your own development. Given we're postgraduate only, people are taking a pause from their careers to really focus on the next day and themselves. And what preparation advice would you give to those people?
Well, I think there's, I think on all of the course sites, there's probably information about pre-reading, things that are useful to know about, and what your necessary skills should be, and so on. I think preparing yourself for the intensity of the study, it's a 1-year MSc or a 1-year MBA, is something that you really need to think about. That's the same with all postgraduate study. But this notion of leaving your comfort zone is really important to anyone wanting to come to Cranfield, and that's the way you'll make the most of it. We don't teach you by rote, we teach you by experience. And I quite often use the quote, and when students come here, they'll hear me saying this. When students start, I use the Mark Twain quote, and I say that, in 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the things you did. Mm-hmm. So cut free the bowlines and leave safe harbor, leave your comfort zone, and be prepared to do that. And what an opportunity to do that. How much would we like to be able to do that, to take a year out of practice and get back into study?
Absolutely. I think the campus environment that you mentioned earlier is critical to that, because let's face it, the UK is very small. You're always a few minutes away from another city, whether that's Milton Keynes, London, Birmingham, Manchester, but actually we are still in a countryside campus. So you have the best of both worlds. You can get the fun life experience, but also you are on a dedicated space where you can really immerse yourself in your studies.
Yeah, that idea of immersion is really important. It's what a lot of our students say to us, has been very important to them. We have a beautiful campus. We have fabulous sports grounds and facilities as well. Excellent new student accommodation. We have our own hotel and conference centre as well. So it is a beautiful and well laid out campus. We're sort of in the middle of the country as well, so we get really good weather. We get really good settled weather. But we're also Milton Keynes is only 30 minutes from London on the train. And you really do get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've ever promised good weather in the UK there, but there we are.
Well, I think here's a fact. We hold our graduation ceremonies outside. So we have like a village of marquees. We have the actual ceremony in the sports hall, but a lot of it depends on good weather. And apparently in the last 30 years, it's never rained on graduation day.
Actually, last year it was stunning, absolutely beautiful weather. And again, it's that campus environment. You get little barbecues, and it's just a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
I'm going to pause a little bit with David for a moment, and we are going to get on to the next part of our agenda today, which is the amazing Dr. Leila Alinaghian, who is the course director for the MBA. She's also, I'm going to get the title right here, Associate Professor of Business and Relationships and Impact. Leila has done amazing work redesigning our MBA. It's been a very long-running MBA, and she's taken the best of and redesigned it, rebranded it, and again, it talks about transformation, which is critical to what you've already heard from David just now. So I'm going to hand over to Leila, who's going to spend about 10 minutes taking you through the flagship of Cranfield's degree programs, which is the MBA.
Thank you, Lauren, and welcome and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your interest in studying with us at Cranfield School of Management. I'm Leila Alinaghian. I'm an associate professor and the director of full-time MBA. Really pleased to be with you today and really excited to be talking to you about our new redesigned Transformation MBA. First of all, I'd like to give you a bit of background as to why Cranfield's full-time MBA is known as the Transformation MBA. And talk to you a little bit about the key features of the Transformation MBA that really set us apart from other MBA courses, and explain a little where these features actually appear on the course so you can have a better understanding of the course structure and content and how it can help you to achieve your goals. As David mentioned, Cranfield's been one of the first institutions to offer an MBA. The program is over 55 years old now. It has really a strong heritage and foundation. It's one of the school's flagship programs. But what really excites me about leading the MBA is this amazing and genuine passion that the entire community has for the program, from students, from faculty teaching on the program, from the alumni. We have the largest MBA alumni network. They genuinely care about the future of program, and they really work with us, partner with us to make sure that we maintain the traditions, we maintain its identity, but at the same time keep it exciting for the future generation. Transformation has been always at the heart of the program. It's the most common word that we hear from the alumni when they kind of describe their experience of studying the MBA. I suppose it's because we really at Cranfield focus on the journey, not just the destination. For us, it's the process. It's the journey that helps you to build the change in you, the journey that transforms your knowledge, your network, your mindset, your outlook, and career transformation just happens. It's the journey that really develop an instinct of transformation in you that's really, really important to us. And that's something that we hear from our alumni when they come back about the experience, something that they don't often realize until even a few years after the experience. The program has a strong track record of excellence, and it's been ranked over the years on a number of sort of Financial Times rankings, as well as the Economist and the QS. And these rankings really are special to us, as David explained as well, because they really reward and highlight some of the key aspects of the program that we be sort of passionately working on. They really represent our ethos and values of diversity, for example. We're really excited to be ranked #1 in the UK for the diversity of sector. And that's the diversity of background when you sit in the classroom in terms of engaging with people from different experiences and backgrounds. We're very proud of our diversity rankings in terms of the percentage of female on the course. We are 7th in the world. Also our values of sustainability, as David explained earlier, in terms of the content of sustainability on the course, but also practicing what we preach in terms of the university's carbon footprint, being ranked 1st in the UK. Something also we're very proud of is the value for money. We are ranked among top 20 in Europe and 36 in the world. And that sort of testifies the fact that students also go on to be successful in their careers, and they're leading successful careers, and also to our approach that focusing on the journey and process really prepares and produce successful outcomes. At Cranfield, we also believe in transforming ourselves. So like Lauren said, over the last 12 months, I've been working on an exciting project to redesign the MBA program, to put employer engagement learning, project work, and international experience at the forefront of the program. Basically, the new design aims to enhance the students' exposure to the world of work, but also provide them with intensive international experience and a global perspective that is highly regarded by employers, but also at the same time giving them an opportunity to sort of tailor the course per their career aspirations and needs. I just wanted to give you a bit of a background and overview of the program structure and highlight some of the key features and new features of the Transformation MBA. So as you can see on the slide, the program features a mix of core elements and elective elements. The core elements appear in a purple color and they represent the compulsory aspects of the program. The pink boxes represent the elective parts of the program where you will be given options to choose from and tailor your path based on your interest and career aspirations. The core modules, they run between from term 1 to term 2, and they provide you with a contemporary and broad knowledge of business. You complete 5 key core modules in term 1 and 5 key core modules in term 2. But I also wanted to highlight some of the more practical component of the course. As you can see at the bottom of the chart, the lighter color boxes, they represent the components that involves major project work and exposure to industry as well as work experience. The first one is the analytical techniques and consulting, business analytics and consulting module. And the module starts in term 1. You learn about qualitative and quantitative data analytics, but also you get to apply them in a real-life consultancy project, concluding in term 3. It's a great chance to work with a real-life client on a real-life problem and exercise and go through the practice of consulting by identifying and framing the problem, collecting the evidence, and more importantly, coming up with more innovative, pragmatic solutions for the organization. We worked with several organizations, all sizes, shapes, locations, and cultures over the years. Students worked with the NHS, for example, McDonald's, Calvin Klein, but also a smaller organization, and some of it been founded by our own MBA alumni, companies such as Harry Specter's, the chocolate company that has a social mission at heart, as well as the Indigent Brewery in recent years. One of the new features of the program that I wanted to highlight is the introduction of a career development and enhancement module. So the module is designed to systematically support you as you navigate your career exploration and development journey and really prepare you to achieve your career goals. It's a very innovative approach because for us, career development is at the heart of the program. It's not anything separate. So we put it at the heart of the program where create space for you, because one of the challenges for our MBA student is that they don't often have a space to dedicate to career development and enhancement, especially if you're doing a one-year MBA program. So the module is designed to enable you to develop your career vision and plan by building self-awareness of your kind of weaknesses, strengths, motivators, interests, and basically use the time that you have with us to really realize that plan. Learn how to communicate your personal story, learn to engage with job hunting, a strategy, assessment, but also utilize the time to be able to fill the competency gaps that you have to be able to achieve your goals. From term 3, the customization starts, and this is a chance for you to really choose an elective module from a long list of electives that we offer at Cranfield in line with your interests and career aspirations. We offer modules around entrepreneurship and family business, to finance, strategy, philosophy, as well as HRM, human resource management. Something that's special about the new design of the course is also our extensive international experience. The course now features this unique opportunity for you to spend 1 month abroad and study at another top business school in Europe. We partner with the top business school, multi-campus business school, where we will be giving you a choice of destination, and you can study your elective modules and choose one of the specializations that are actually complementary to what we offer at Cranfield, but also complete a consultancy project in line with the specialization that you chose. We really believe that would enable you to develop yourself, personal development, but also career development. It's a chance to immerse yourself into a new culture and network with other MBAs from the top league and sit in the class next to them and exchange ideas and engage in debates. It really helps you to kickstart your network and sort of support your international mobility. What's unique about this opportunity is that this is for every Cranfield MBA. So some institutions offer the international experience to a few students, but for us, this is important for everybody to engage in that experience and benefit from international experience that is very highly regarded in eyes of the employers when you apply to various jobs. The final features of the Transformation MBA is again in line with our intention to put career outcome and career development at the heart of the program. And that is about the introduction of 3 career pathways. Between July and September, students would be able to use the time to dedicate and advance towards the career goals that they want to achieve. We introduced and formalized 3 career pathways. We have the executive career pathway, entrepreneurial career pathways, as well as the independent career pathways. Executive is for those who wants to be employed in an organization post-MBA. That's what the immediate goal is. Entrepreneurial is for those who want to own or grow a business in future, immediately right after the MBA. And independent is for those individuals who want to work for a variety of employers and become independent consultants or independent contractors. And we designed a major project that actually goes with each of those, the career pathways. That's an individual piece, and this is a chance for you to really shine and leave your mark. If you're on the executive pathway, you get to complete a full-time internship between July and September. Entrepreneurial pathway involves the entrepreneurship journey module that you would work on your business plan, use the time, use the expertise that we have at Cranfield to basically work out a nice business plan, think about your finances. Some people actually meet their business partner while they are at Cranfield with us. And independent, you get to do an independent consultancy project. And this is exercising independence and identifying the right client and delivering the work for them. Because with the other projects, you work in teams. This is the time for you to engage with the work on an individual basis. What's different around the internship that sets us apart is the support that we provide. We have a dedicated team that engage with organizations. For us, this is the continuation of what you learn on the course, but also it would enhance your career prospects and help you to expand your network in the UK, especially for our international students. So we engage with our contacts around the country and work out different opportunities, advertise them to you on a portal, you engage in the process of applying. And for me, that process itself helps you to sort of practice and understand how you kind of telling your story better, how you articulate your points, how you do better in the assessment, and how you learn from that process to do better and engage in actually real life job applications. Fantastic. I hope that gave you a bit of background into the structure of the program. I just wanted to recap in terms of the key features of the Transformation MBA, but also use it as an opportunity to highlight a few other details about each of the features. As you can see on the slide, problem-based and practice-based learning is at the heart of everything we do. But on the MBA program, you would have specific opportunities to work for real-life organizations. And that is through the consultancy project that you do with us at Cranfield in the UK, but also the consultancy project that you do with our partners in Europe, and you engage with an European client. And finally, through the career pathway projects, either an internship, entrepreneurial journey, or an independent project. We also have a dedicated budget to competitions. On the MBA, students engage in around 20 competitions every year collectively. It's an integral part of the experience. They learn a lot from these competitions because they revolve around real life problems. And the beauty of a real life problem is that it doesn't sit within an academic silo or within a function. So you need to pull expertise from a variety of sources and think in the moment. We send the students to international trips as well. So we use the budget to pay for the registrations for these competitions, but also to fund the international trip where they go and make us proud. We host some of these competitions. For example, you might have heard of VCIC, Venture Capital and Investment Competition that Cranfield hosts. And we welcomed students from Oxford, Cambridge, Copenhagen, ISE earlier this year. It's a great chance for our students to also network with these institutions when we host them. We also worked with Infosys Consulting this year, and they host us on an exclusive basis for Cranfield MBA students as well as the MSc Management on a case competition about the future of mobility and convenience within the fuel industry. Student at the moment working on the competition, and they would host the final pitch in the office in London. But yeah, generally really good opportunities for practice-based learning. I talked about how important careers and careers outcome and development is to us that are at the heart of the program design. We've got 4 pillars really when it comes to MBA career development journey. I talked about the career development and enhancement module. We have the career pathways, but also we have one-to-one support. So you'll engage with a number of individuals. A senior career development manager, you engage with internship liaison officer, you engage with the MBA employer engagement manager that is dedicated to our MBA course, and engage with the employers and create recruitment opportunities. For us, marketing talent and creating opportunity and engaging with employers is a big part of the support that we can provide you. You are in the driving seat, but we're here to support when it comes to career development. International experience, a unique feature of the Cranfield MBA, the opportunity to study abroad for 1 month, engage with another institutions that different from us, and understanding and settling in a new environment, hugely beneficial, as well as the content and the knowledge that you acquire. So the credits that you acquire contribute towards your Cranfield Award. So it's a proper integration of the 2 institutions and in form of a really exciting partnership. We also have the focus on the personal development, and David also mentioned earlier, there is a big emphasis on you as an individual when you're studying your MBA with us. Throughout the year, you constantly encourage in a self-discovery journey. You do a number of psychometric tests, you learn a lot about yourself, not just who you are and what is it that you want to do, but how you impact other people. And that we think would really make you effective leaders. We have 2 dedicated modules to personal development and leadership development, organizational behavior, as well as leadership in action, that would support you to actually build that self-awareness and understand about motivating others, influencing others, but also linking them to the contemporary leadership themes such as ethical leadership, diversity and inclusion, organization politics, the challenges that leaders actually face. We have a week-long leadership week as well that is full-packed with various activities and external speakers. That is a continuation of your leadership development. But also to mention the dedicated executive coach that each of our MBA students would have that work with them on a continuous basis throughout the year to support them with the personal development, but also career development journey. And last but not least, you heard it from David and Lauren, is this amazing and inspiring alumni community. So they're brilliant. You heard it all, but what I wanted to highlight actually are the mechanisms that we have in place to enable you to connect to this inspiring community. For example, earlier this year, we launched a new MBA speaker series where we invite alumni back to campus and they talk about their career journeys. We run them in a form of industry-specific panel discussions, as well as the senior alumni presentation. So we had a panel on digital and high tech. We invited speakers from Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon. We had a panel on management consulting. We had partners from A.T. Kearney and PwC. But the other week, we had a panel on financial services, where speakers came from JP Morgan, Alica Bank, as well as MasterCard. And it's a chance for the students and alumni to come together, to inspire each other, support each other, and share stories. And really support and create this strong community that we're very proud of. A number of other mechanisms that we have in place to connect you to the alumni can be around the mentoring scheme that we have. We pair you up with an alumni that help you and talk to you about the career journey, but also provide you tips and advice. We have the Executive in Residence scheme that's going on at the moment, and this is where we connect with the board level alumni, MBA alumni, and you would have a chance to have a 30-minute conversation with a CEO from a top organization and build your network. You get to invited to various alumni events as well, pop nights. We have a number of alumni workshop, so the list is endless. But we understand and really appreciate the community we have. But at the same time, we work really hard to make it easy for you to connect with this inspiring community.
I'm going to jump in here because it gives us an opportunity to talk about one of the more recent stats that we've come out, which is about from the Financial Times about sector diversity. And part of the reason you mentioned before about engaging debate in the classroom, or the diversity and the potential that David mentioned in our alumni. And that's partly because we're number one in the UK for sector diversity, which really means that there's more industries, more job experience, and that postgraduate experience only we've got all combines to make just a dynamic learning experience where people have got very different experiences and perspectives to contribute to that classroom. In terms of the personal development, you mentioned a little bit about the Leadership Week, the executive coaching. I'm actually going to throw a question to David here because we've got a question from Nidia. Apologies if I mispronounce anyone's names. I'm going to try my best. But how much does the School of Management focus on a student's personal development? We've got Leila's perspective on what the MBA does. Is there a difference between what the MBA does and the wider School of Management?
There's some, it sort of comes back to what I was saying before about making the most of this opportunity. There's a huge amount of activity that goes on around all of the courses so for example, we have our Bettany Centre for Entrepreneurship. There's probably 2 or 3 events a week. We've got employers coming in or SMEs coming in, talking about their journey, talking about how they broke through after whilst they're being a student, and how they broke through afterwards, how they might have built up and exited a company, and so on. We have the same, as Leila says, the speaker series that we have, and it's very much focused on people's development and also their career development. So it happens, we have a career service across the whole of the university as well, which is in the main directed at the full-time MSc students, and that's why we've kind of created a bespoke offering for the full-time MBA. But for the MSc students on full-time courses, on our specialist courses, there is a dedicated career service that can help people, and there are events all the time with that, online and face-to-face careers fairs, putting you in touch with employers. We're very focused on that notion of outcomes-based experience, so that we want you to leave here with the best career opportunities possible.
And we've actually had a few questions come through about career opportunities, career fairs. 1 or 2 questions from actually our Indian nationalities who are on the call at the moment have said, what are the career opportunities for Indian applicants, and is there a difference? Is it open to all?
Well, there's actually no difference between the opportunities for any nationality in the UK. I think Melvyn was talking about this earlier, and he may want to say something later, but there's actually the opportunity for Indian students is the same as UK students who are studying, who are studying in the UK and then want to work afterwards. We have a post-study work visa opportunity in the UK, which is still vibrant, and it's still something that is essential to people who want to come and work in the UK. There's no difference between the nationalities. It's just as good opportunity for anyone from any country to be able to work in the UK afterwards, or create a startup. And in fact, given our links to things like the Small Business Charter and the funding that's available for people to start new businesses in the UK, this is a great place to kick that off from.
I think we'll return to the entrepreneurship theme in a bit, because that's we could run a whole webinar on entrepreneurship and what Cranfield does there. It is worth mentioning, actually, I think again, I keep coming back to them because I love them, the Financial Times rankings. I think 95% of our cohort is from outside the UK. So we were ranked in, I think, the top 25 for internationality of the cohorts that we have here. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, the diversity thing is really important. That whenever anyone finishes postgraduate study and goes into the workplace, everyone works in a global economy now, and so every workplace will be internationally diverse. It doesn't matter where that is. Every workplace will have that diversity. So to be so well ranked, both on, as Leila says, gender diversity, on sector diversity, but also international diversity. We're amongst the best in the world for this. To be doing that and to have our sustainability credentials as well, it's fantastic for me to see. As a school that, and it's a great opportunity. It's a great set of metrics for the students as well, to know that they're going to be engaged in an environment that's very much like the workplace they're going to end up in.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. We're getting a lot of questions come through, and we are going to get to them. Hold fire if you're asking questions about placements and internships, because actually I think the best person to answer that is going to be coming up next. So do stay with us. The next person we're going to have joining us is Professor Melvyn Peters, who is Director of Education at Cranfield and is just all round fabulous. He's also a Professor of Supply Chain Practice. Apologies, Melvyn, I'm getting the title slightly wrong there. Melvyn, you're going to talk to us about a much broader topic, which is the overall portfolio for master's opportunities here.
Okay. Thank you, Lauren, and it's nice to be called fabulous. Welcome, everybody. I extend my welcome as everybody else has done as well. And I've been given the task to talk to you today about the MSc portfolio. Leila's already talked about the MBA, and I'm going to talk about the portfolio. So just before I do that, I would just like to say that we have an MSc credibility here that goes back many years, and I myself am an alumni from way back in the 80s, before going away into industry and coming back as an academic later in life. So I am well aware of the alumni network, and I'm actually going to be attending an alumni network event later this week on the future of hydrogen as an energy source in transportation. So we have both general management type alumni events, but also some very specialist ones when we draw on our heritage here at Cranfield. So if I could just see my slides, please. I think you've gone in a bit too far. Okay, so why Cranfield for an MSc? Well, the one thing I would say automatically is that we are close to business, and from an MSc perspective, that means all of our specialist MScs have an advisory industrial panel, which makes sure that our MScs are contemporary, up to date, and are delivering the right type of skill sets to come into the industry, in whichever MSc area that is, and I'll talk about those in a minute. We have a very high staff to student teaching ratio, and perhaps Cranfield is well known for its publications in terms of we were ranked as top 10 in the world in terms of teaching power. And that means we extend our influence through our publications, and it shows that our textbooks are used by management schools across the world. So why not come to Cranfield and actually benefit from the very people that have been publishing that work and engage with them through our classrooms? So we're a very vibrant school in that sense, and well known well outside of the UK. In terms of the portfolio, I've put them into sort of 4 broad portfolios. So we have the accounting and finance and the finance programs, and they've gone through a period of continuous development and redesign. And we are now offering these as two specific programs. The finance program delivering around a very much more quantitative investment management environment, whereas the accounting and finance more around the role of finance in business. So they have very distinct characteristics. We have the logistics and the procurement supply chain programs. They are twinned programs in as much as the core part of term one is the same, and then students digress into their pathways to either study more logistics focused modules or more procurement related. And you don't need to worry about which ones to select, because we allow students to actually move between one and the other in term one. So you can start on logistics, but actually transfer to procurement about midway through term one. So if you're not quite sure what's right for you, you have the opportunity to talk to the various academics, to talk to the careers department, and make a clearer decision about whether you wish to do one or the other. We then have the management set of programs. So we have the MSc in management, and that has 3 pathways that run off of that. We have corporate sustainability as a pathway, entrepreneurship as a pathway, and human resource management as a pathway. And the management and entrepreneurship program in particular is aimed at those students that are very interested in perhaps starting up a business or are in a family business and want to do some intrapreneurship, in other words, grow the family business and have ideas about new products or services which they'd like to introduce. So it's very focused. And of course, many of those family businesses are themselves small and medium-sized enterprises, which is something that Cranfield has a specific skill set in. So we have those programs. And then we have the MSc in strategic marketing. I'm not going to talk in depth about any of the individual programs because there are specific course webinars which are coming up at later dates where you can get more specific course information and actually talk to the course director. But I am going to talk about a few general aspects. So what distinguishes the programs? So just like on the MBA, we have a practitioner speaker series. So all of the MSCs would embed within their programs guest speakers, typically industry experts that can add, can bring the real world back into the classroom. And you get the opportunity, which is often quite rare, to really ask, in a neutral environment, what is really driving business change? What are the main problems that companies are facing within your specific MSc area? We host lots of industry events and we run business simulations. And in fact, only a couple of weeks ago, I was running a whole simulation on an e-procurement, e-auction simulation for students. So we use a lot of role play games and technical simulations to bring home intense learning outcomes and an ability to test ideas in a neutral environment. We use a lot of interactive case study teaching. A lot of the case studies have been developed at Cranfield, but we also have access to a much wider set. But we use a dialogue through case studies to bring home intended learning outcomes. We use consultancy projects. They can be either long-term, such as on the logistics program, where we have company-based thesis projects, or they may be short-term engagements, such as on strategic marketing, where they'll take on a 1 or 2 week project for a specific company. We also have access to some very specialist databases, including the Bloomberg suite, which is particularly valuable for the finance students because it gives them access to financial data for simulation and modeling work. So that's a specific set of data which we have acquired for the finance students. And just as Leila was alluding to the fact that we have lots of competitions which are entered into on the MBA, we also provide competitions for our MSc students, and we were lucky enough to win the Unilever Challenge this year, last year in 2022. So we use a lot of interactive elements to bring our teaching to life, if you like, and to provide that real world experience. And I'll add to what David said about the word that we're a management school, not a business school. When I studied all those years ago, I was told management is a verb, business is not. So for us, it's about how do you take theory into practice? How do you have an impact? And so that's why we're a management school. We're about the application of knowledge. We want to make an impact. So that's a very quick run through of the portfolio of MSCs. If you have particular interest, I would suggest you look at the dates for the later webinars that will follow, which are course specific. Or if you're in the process of an application and you're you feel you want to know a bit more earlier on, you can always ask to have an interview or ask to talk to the course director who can provide that information for you. So don't be shy about coming forward if you want further information. We can provide that to you. So, Lauren, I'm sure there's some questions.
There are absolutely questions coming through, and I would absolutely agree with that. I'm sure as we speak that links to the events are going to be popping into the chat. So we have events, as Melvyn said, for specific master's courses. There's also a specific webinar for the Transformation MBA on the 19th of April, I believe. Those will be going into the chat. And as Melvyn said, we're very friendly people, so do ask questions. It doesn't have to be formal, and we can advise on the difference between courses, between opportunities. One of the questions that we've had several times, at least I can see from Anushka and from Jotsana, is about internships. Melvyn, can you let us know which programs have internships, and then probably what, maybe Leila can help with this as well, what's the best way of getting an internship?
Okay, so in terms of, we have two courses which have internships. We have the Masters in Management, which has a formalised internship, which is designed around really pre-work experience students. And then there's the MBA internship, which is designed around post-experience students. So they have different sort of requirements, and the expectations on the students are different. The other courses don't have internships, not formally. There are some self-generated internships that students have on finance, and we can accommodate those into their study, but we don't officially find those for the students. So some finance students find those themselves. But on the Master in Management, we find the internships and students go into them, and the same will be happening on the MBA program. Perhaps Leila would like to say a little bit more about that.
Yes, of course. So for the generally the way we approach the internships on the both MSc Management and the MBA is to sort of engage with the student, have a conversation, understand their career aspirations, where do you want to go, and then we engage with our contacts, with the companies that we worked with over a number of years to kind of formalize those opportunities for students to apply. So like Melvyn said, a student can always apply to open internships that are advertised on companies' websites. We provide support, the career services provide support in terms of making sure that your CV is appropriate for that job, or your cover letter. But generally they are very competitive. Obviously you need to compete with everyone else who's kind of applied to that internship. But Cranfield specific internships are those that we secure through our own network. But as I said, it's a very much a not linear process. So we identify opportunities, you need to engage with the process, apply for those opportunities. The companies often do the shortlisting and invite you for an interview before they actually offer a place to an individual.
Okay, I'll add a further clarification if I might, Lauren. On the logistics and procurement programs, we also have what we call company-based projects. They're not internships in as much as you don't spend your full time at the company. You are given a project by a company which you can spend time in the company, but also back at Cranfield to undertake the research that they require. And this year we have more company-based projects than students that actually registered for them. So that's unusual. Most universities aren't providing company projects to students. Students have to find them themselves. We find ourselves with a richness of luxury, if you like, this year, in having actually more projects provided to us by alumni and companies than we actually have students registered for.
And I think that's a really good point. The alumni network that we've already mentioned several times is part of how why we have structure strong internship offering, but also being dedicated postgraduate. We are close to business, as David's mentioned already. There's one question actually I'm going to field to Leila, because I'll come back to you in a second, David. Leila, because you're perfectly positioned to answer this, given your experience as the course director for the MBA, but in a previous role also for the Masters in Management. The difference between the two is one of the questions that comes up regularly. And on paper, we can say things like, over three years or more experience, you should be looking at the MBA. But what does it actually mean in terms of the experience over a year, and actually the roles and the outcomes that people go on to have? Can you explain a little bit about, if someone's looking between the two, what do they need to consider?
Of course. So both programs are general management degrees, and the content in terms of the key functional areas in management that we cover is pretty much the same. MBA, you would do much more credits in terms of the structure of the course. So it's a more intense course, whereas on the MSc Management, it has a longer thesis project that's linked to the internship. But as you mentioned, Lauren, the main difference is the audience that we sort of target. So MSc Management is targeted at early career professionals, those sometimes with no experience at all, right after the undergrad, up until 3 years of experience. And the MBA course is designed for those who have already been in the business, have some work experience. So generally between 3 to 8 years of experience is where we see and we look for our MBA kind of candidates. So on the MSc Management, we rely on simulations and role plays, as Melvyn explained, to kind of compensate the lack of experience and create learning environments for them. Whereas on the MBA course, it's all about the kind of the debates and the conversations that people having in the classroom in terms of the learning from peers, which is a very important element. So we rank #1 in terms of diversity of sector. So you'll be put in a classroom where people come from different backgrounds and different industries. So we have people, for example, from healthcare, energy, consulting, financial services. So it's not like that everybody's coming from a financial service background. So you get exposure to people from energy sector, public sector, and so on. And I think as a result of that, then the career pathways and where they start in their career right after the course is quite different. So the MSc Management typically start and take analyst level jobs, whereas the MBA course, you start at a much higher salary, and you start with manager level jobs or senior manager level jobs, depending on the experience. And in terms of just a comparison of salaries, sometimes people ask, the MBA class 3 years after the MBA salary is around 120K, whereas for us MSc, that's around 50K to 60K. So that's the sort of the difference in terms of level as a result of the different jobs that they apply and go on after the course.
Fantastic, thank you, Leila. And actually, if anyone goes onto the website, I know on the MBA webpage, you'll be able to see a video about careers highlights. If in doubt, talk to us. Again, if you're not sure where you fit, talk to us. We can advise on what the best course for you, where you're going to have the best return for your investment, not just in terms of money, but obviously time as well. This is a really rare opportunity. You only do an MBA once, and sort of, unless you're particularly keen to go down an academic route, again, the MSCs, this is a really rare opportunity. So take the time to speak with us and find out which one is right for you. David,
Can I
in
add
terms of
Lauren,
oh yes,
Lauren,
of course, Melvyn.
Just come in. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just conscious that we've really concentrated on our full-time MBA and our full-time MSCs, but we should also say that there are post-work experience part-time MSCs and a part-time MBA as well. So if people are interested in those, they should also get in contact with us.
That's a really good point. And are any of them online, Melvyn, or are they all virtual, part-time?
There isn't what I'd call a fully online version. We do have an online version of our executive logistics program, but that also requires a summer school. And we have an online MSc in sustainability, which is part-time, but it also requires you to be here for a summer school. So that they are hybrid in a sense. Most of it's delivered online, but there's still a requirement to come to Cranfield.
And part of that requirement, is that because of in fact, I'm going to field that to you, David, because you're obviously sort of in control of what we have as a portfolio. Why do we insist on some of that face-to-face learning, even if it's part-time? Why is that so important?
Well, I think the one of the things I talked about before was the cohort experience, or the learning teams and so on that we construct. And I think we forget that not many other places do this, and which is putting, as I say, the individual at the heart of it, but within a team. You need that, the sort of the sociology of the experience for that to really work. And we particularly find, so one of the courses Melvyn talked about, we have the part-time MBA, so the executive MBA. That's all face-to-face, but students only come to study once a month, effectively. And so creating the relationships that are needed for learning is really important face-to-face, at least to establish it to begin with. So that's why, as Melvyn says, there's the sort of the fairly intensive starting point, midpoint and end point to make sure that those relationships are working and that you've met all of your tutors in the flesh and so on. But it can be done online. We all know it can be done online. We did it during the pandemic. All universities around the world did it. But Cranfield, essentially, we've talked about the campus, we've talked about the experience of the faculty, the fact we bring in guest speakers, we are surrounded by businesses, we have technology parks and so on around here. We are a place-based business, and so and making sure that we foster that physical and face-to-face environment is important.
Part of the reason that we talk about transformation isn't half-hearted. It's easier to achieve that transformation when you commit yourself to the process and the experience.
That's right. I think it's a combination of things. It's a combination of how we teach. It's a combination of the people who teach. It's a combination of the professional services that we have, and it's a combination and the actual physical environment, as I said, of the campus, is what our alumni come back and tell us. It was an amazing experience, an immersive experience, and you get so much more than just the face-to-face teaching. For the actual students who are here, that you wouldn't get actually at a much bigger university where the experience is diluted with perhaps 10,000 undergraduate students. The experience here is all about the master's students, and it's all for the master's students.
That's amazing. And we spoke actually about class sizes. Is there a difference between class sizes depending on the course you do?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Melvyn had that up on one of his slides, that if you go to another UK university, even in the Russell Group universities, where there are undergraduates, you tend to have big classrooms. So what you end up doing with big classrooms is you end up filling them, and so where you might be teaching undergraduates in classes of 400. You try to use those rooms as well for master's teaching. Well, we don't have those big rooms. 90% of our rooms seat about 50 students. So, the majority of our teaching is small class sizes. And we have a core faculty base of full-time professors, but we also have an army of adjunct staff. And actually, in terms of the teaching ratio, this is what Melvyn had up, the ratio between students and teaching faculty, teaching staff, is only 1 to 8. Mm-hmm. In the Russell Group universities, at best, it's 1 to 15, and in other universities, it can be 1 to 30. 1 to 8 is actually better than Oxbridge. It's a fabulous ratio to have, but it means the experience in these small classes is so rich for the students.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's a super thorough answer. Originally, I think, Harry, you asked about the difference between an MBA and a MIM. I hope that answers your question. We've certainly wandered from it since, and there's obviously a lot of opportunities. I'm going to address a couple of very specific practical questions that have come through about accommodation and scholarships. Really quickly go through those, just because obviously we want to keep Leila, David, and Melvyn on the juicy topics. Scholarships, as a general rule, all on our website. Again, talk to us. There's lots of scholarships available, from small contributions up to more generous full ride scholarships, depending on how they are funded. Again, we have that fabulous alumni community, and they are part of why we have great alumni scholarships. So talk to us about what's available and where you might be eligible. Accommodation, we have a range of on-campus and off-campus accommodation. Most people do live on campus. There's newer buildings, older buildings, available to suit a range of budgets. One of the advantages of being outside of London is actually the accommodation's a bit more affordable, which really does help, particularly now. The trick is to apply early. First come, first serve. So if you're thinking about it now, apply now, save your space in the accommodation of your first choice. But there are some fabulous new ones as well, again, named after people thanks to their investment. So we do have a real range. Again, if you want to ask, the team on the chat will be able to post links to it, but there really is a range of different accommodation. One of the questions we've had come through actually is about, we'd like to know about how families are supported during the period of the course. And that's one of the things that's really different, I've noticed, from having gone to other universities. When I first came on Cranfield, there are family buildings as well, aren't there?
Yes, the estate as it stands, there's a huge variety of different types of accommodation. The latest accommodation, which was the Baroness Young new wing that we built in acknowledgement of our previous Chancellor at the University, Baroness Young of Scone, and so that's an example of brand new state-of-the-art accommodation where you have private facilities, but in the main, but some of it is shared between small households, effectively. So you might share some communal lounge area or kitchen area and so on. But then we have individual houses. The estate was originally an airbase, and we have a working airport at the university, which if you're wealthy enough to have an aeroplane, you can fly here, and but because of that, we have a lot of housing that is good for families, good for couples, a whole range of things. But it's a big part of our student body, and it's important to us that we're able to accommodate both couples and families.
And it's obviously a central part of the student experience. What is it that you'd say makes the student experience different at Cranfield? Is it that postgraduate bit, the accommodation, the families?
I think we haven't actually talked much about, we've talked a lot about the environment and particularly the learning experience that we have, but the student experience, again, it's very suited to a postgraduate life. At a Russell Group university, you get a huge student union building where the use is really high all the time. We have a dedicated Cranfield Student Association building where there's various recreation opportunities. We have a really good set of sports facilities and so on, and a really vibrant year representative community that help drive that student experience and really challenge us actually to say what they need next. And we have a great project that is likely to be underway next year, hopefully by September, where we're going to be introducing a new student social space with pop-up restaurants, cafes, and gaming facilities. And on all sorts. So watch this space. Have a look on the website as you progress towards us.
That does sound amazing. It's a really good link into one of my questions, which is about the future of the School of Management. People buying into the process and the experience now. What do they have to look forward to from the School of Management?
I think one of the really exciting things that we haven't really talked about much is the extent to which we're engaged in real world problems. And so the research agenda is changing all the time. And probably 5 years ago, the groups that we have, the academics that we have shifted their focus onto real world problems. So that notion of, and this will continue to change, so it'll continue to define the school in terms of the real world problems that we look at. So, go onto the website, have a look at what Professor Emma Parry is doing around the changing world of work. Go onto the website and have a look at what Professor Michael Bourlakis is doing around retail supply chains, or Professor David Denyer is doing around resilience in organizations. It's fascinating, but it's a research agenda that's shifting all the time. So that's one area, I think, of continual flux and change. But also, we've just established a new strategy for the school, looking forward to 2030, and some really great innovations in some of our programs and our offerings and so on, and the things that we'll teach. And we're going to need the alumni of tomorrow, of 2030, to help us with that. So again, I think that's the thing, that we will be looking to our students who join us next year to be engaged in 5 years' time and tell us what the next strategy should be as well. One area that we are developing substantially is around our digital offer, and this is something that I think that is going to be of value to people who once they have studied here, to make sure that they can engage in lifelong learning wherever they are in the world, by utilizing some of our bite-size, what we call stackable digital credits, where you can continue to upskill, and I think that's a really interesting addition to what we're doing. We've always been engaged, I said before, around post-experience learning, and we're experts in that. We really recognise that someone who comes to do a degree here, that degree and that knowledge won't last them for 40 years, for the rest of their career. They'll need to come back and they need to refresh their knowledge and or at least re-engage. And the digital offer that we have is going to really help with that.
And it's an exciting opportunity, because there's those stackables that are as short as a few hours really, and there are some chunkier courses that are available too at an alumni discount. So once people have joined us, that lifelong learning that we encourage and that we offer, people who want to top up their education will have access to that via an alumni discount.
Exactly that. We do it with the digital online stackable content, which is a real new innovation. But we've done it for years in our executive education. So as I said before, we have a hotel and conference centre where we run our short course delivery from. And actually we get a huge number of people coming back to us to engage in that once they are alumni. And some of our most notable alumni have come back several times to Cranfield and stepped onto, for example, the business growth program. Having been through the MBA, they go on to, or an MSc, go on to the business growth program 5 years out. And now we're engaging on our Ready for Scale Net Zero program, which is really innovative. Again, looking at how businesses can scale up, but also make sure that they're contributing to environmental targets.
And the small business charter that you mentioned, the business growth programs, a lot of that is shaped by, influenced by our Bettany Centre for Entrepreneurship, which is this amazing entrepreneurial hub we have. And I believe we're ranked 5th in the world in America Economia, that's a mouthful, for innovation and entrepreneurship. Actually, that's an MBA ranking, but it's down to this amazing, unique hub, an expertise centre that we have.
Yes, we do. And it's something that everyone will be able to take advantage of. I think, as I said, we have a speaker series on entrepreneurship exclusively. And as Melvyn said, entrepreneurship isn't just about being interested in startups or building businesses. It can be about intrapreneurship. It's about taking entrepreneurial flair and ideas into your organisation. And the Bettany Centre for Entrepreneurship has been running for a number of years now and has influence across the whole university. But it helps create this sort of bedrock of entrepreneurship as a theme that runs through our programs. But as I say, so any student who's here can engage with the Bettany Centre and take advantage of those events. We even run our own seed fund, so that if you come here, you have a business idea, you can get anything from £5,000 to £20,000 to help start up your business. There's no one else who's doing that. I mean, that's an offer to students to pitch to the university to create a startup.
And I've often heard Dr. Steffi Hassels, who looks after the Bettany Centre, is our director there, talk about entrepreneurial mindset. As you say, it's for much more than just a small, medium enterprise.
And you can see that, as Leila said, for the MBA, it's a distinct pathway of interest that students have. But it's not just the MBA. I think this notion of an entrepreneurial mindset and a leadership mindset and a development mindset is something that we instill right across the programs.
I've got a question actually about sustainability. So talking about areas where you are innovating, I'm going to field it first to Leila because Gideon has directed it about the MBA, but then actually I'll extend the conversation to Melvyn and David. Leila, Gideon's asked about corporate sustainability on the MBA and what sort of electives. We've mentioned already that 36th in the world for ESG content on the MBA. What sort of opportunities are there to learn about sustainability on the MBA?
Thanks, Lauren. So on the MBA, we have a dedicated module, Leading Sustainable Business. It's a 24-hour module that you learn about the notion of sustainability, various aspects. You understand the scale of the problem, but also engaging with different stakeholders. You play a scenario exploration game that also runs on several of our MSc courses as well, that you kind of look at the future and try to sort of develop future scenarios into a sustainable future. We also run a number of workshops, circular economy workshop, net zero workshop, as part of that module, and invite external speakers to talk about circular economy and share their insights. But also the notion of sustainability is kind of run through all of our modules. From the supply chain management module, we touch on the sustainability and how, for example, it can be incorporated into the supply chain in terms of working with different suppliers and, you know, green logistics and, you know, just a closed loop supply chain and so on, as well as into the operations module. The organization behavior module is heavily centered on people, and we cover that people side, how influencing others, inclusive leadership, ethical leadership is something that we cover as part of the leadership in action module. We also invite a number of alumni to come back and generally talk us through a day in life of that specific person. And, you know, we invited one of our alumni from 1983, I think, Chris Potts, who will come back to talk about anti-bribery, runs an anti-bribery workshop around the notion of ethics. And he's got a really, really interesting story to tell and take people through the experience that he had around the notion of ethics. So yeah, across the board, across all the different modules, this is sort of embedded, and that's why in terms of content, we've been ranked 36th in the world. But also through our partnership, our partner as well, for example, they're on the specialization, consulting specialization, there is a section on social impact consulting, for instance, green economics, and they, because we want to be relevant and we ask relevant questions, these are the problems that organizations are struggling with, and hence that kind of defines the consulting project that students conduct. For instance, the business analytics and consulting module, student at the moment doing a real life consulting project, and several of the projects revolve around the notion of sustainability, whether that's environmental or social, as well as the competition. So I've got to say half of the competitions are around the sustainability and, for example, impact investing and green investing and all of that. We also have a Center for Sustainability, and they run a sustainability speaker series that MBA student, but also the entire School of Management student invited to attend, and they invite really high profile speakers and thought leaders from industry.
Amazing. Thank you, Leila. We are rapidly running out of time, so I'm going to ask a final question to David, and I will then tell you where you can find out more information about those competitions and other opportunities that both Melvyn and Leila have mentioned. Really to summarise, because we've talked about the amazing alumni network, the immersive campus, the management expertise, the focus on leadership development, the entrepreneurial elements, the postgraduate expertise. Why do you think Cranfield is so unique, and why did you come to Cranfield?
Gosh, I mean, it's the reason that I would say to all of the students is why would you want to go and study anyway? You want to study in the best place that you can. I was dean at another university before I came here. I've actually been a dean for nearly 10 years. And as I said before, I accredit schools all around the world. I see the practice of other business schools around the world. I've accredited schools in all continents. And Cranfield really is the best. It's so unique in terms of the postgraduate and post-experience focus only. Why wouldn't I want to work at the best business school that I could? for that reason, that's why I see this as the pinnacle of a dean's career. And I should think the student should see it as a pinnacle of opportunity for them to come and study here.
I think that's a fantastic answer and a great one to end on. So thank you so much everyone for joining us. There will be information popping in your chat. If we haven't got to your question, then that's a fabulous reason to get in contact with us and have a chat. There are plenty of opportunities available. As both Melvyn and Leila have said, there are specific webinars available for your course interests. So the MBA, Introduction to the Transformation MBA, is on the 19th of April, but there are also course-specific webinars for all of our master's courses. So have a look, have a chat, and get in contact. As I said, we are friendly people and we would love to find out any of your questions, concerns, and just talk to us. I think that just leaves me to thank everyone for attending and thank the team as well for, I think we've had on the chat today, oh, I've lost the names. Well, thank you very much for those who are managing the chat. I think that might be Ellie and Lena today. Thank you to the studio team who've managed all of the experience today. Thank you to David, to Leila and to Melvyn. Absolutely great to have you with us today and we look forward to seeing you on campus in September.